if you've moved abroad, like if you spent more than 2 or 3 months in a new environment, in a new home, you know that moment. You know when the high starts to kind of diminish, right? And the reality sets in, the reality of the fact that you are not home anymore, right? And everything is different and people are different and you don't speak the language and it's hard to do the most basic things and you feel like you have to depend on the kindness of strangers and you feel a little bit vulnerable and a little out of, yeah, that whole thing. I want to talk about that today. My name is Siobhan. I encourage women of color to travel solo and to move abroad if they want to. Thanks for being here. I watched a video about a woman. Her name was Paige Mariah, and she talked about her move to London and the experience that she had, in particular with her mental health. And it really got me thinking about my experiences living abroad and the different stages that I went through in order to get to a place of comfortability and of stability in my new home. I am currently in Querétaro, Mexico. And before that, I've lived in South Korea. I've lived in the Caribbean. I moved from the South, where, I was raised, to New York City, and I lived there for 6 years. So I've done a lot of moving around in my day. But I've done a lot of moving around. And each move, I experienced that high, right, into the reality setting in and kind of grappling with that into a stage of like, okay, now I feel like I'm getting the rhythm. Now I feel like I know what I'm doing and how to live here. And then eventually into a stage of feeling at home. And so I want to talk about that today. And I want to talk about it specifically because I am right in the middle of that groan zone, that frustrating stage, right? Um, so one of the things that I noticed in Paige's video, in her YouTube video, was that she didn't quite name it, but I want us to name this because I feel like when you name something, then you have an understanding of what it is and hopefully more of a gumption to like overcome it or to face it, right? So I believe that Paige was in the middle of the frustration stage of culture shock, right? So, what is culture shock? Culture shock is the feeling of disorientation experienced by someone who is suddenly subjected to an unfamiliar culture, way of life, or set of attitudes. And there are actually four stages of culture shock. The first stage is the honeymoon stage, right? Where everything's amazing, everything's new. You love the space, the people are beautiful, everything's beautiful and wonderful, right? You're making new friends, you're eating new foods, you're just in this incredible space of discovery and you're open. And then from there, we move into what's called the frustration stage. I've also seen it called something like the hostility stage, which I think is a little intense. But I mean, it can be intense, right? In the frustration stage, that's when you are like the reality of your move sets in, right? Maybe you're having issues with your apartment. Maybe going grocery shopping is difficult because you don't speak the language. Maybe you run into a snag with banking or like other things that would be really easy in your home country is all of a sudden difficult. Like you're running into some hurdles in your new space. You can also, in this stage, experience homesickness. You could be missing people, you could be missing your friends, missing home. You can even deal with anxiety and depression, a bit of sadness, loneliness, and it can even come down to like really wondering like, why am I here? Why did I make this move? Was this the right choice? Did I completely fuck up my life by coming here? um, and so those are all things that you can experience in this frustration stage. And then from there, as you become more accustomed to the way things are done in your new home, you get into the adjustment stage. It's a little bit easier to do your daily tasks or monthly tasks. Maybe you're starting to make friends. Maybe you're starting to get into some clubs or get into hobbies. Like you're really starting to feel a bit more settled. And then finally, you come into the acceptance stage, right? Where, like, okay, this is home. I've got a life here. I've got friends here. Maybe I have a partner, right? Maybe I have kids. Maybe this is the place that is going to be like my place, right? So those are the four stages of culture shock. And honestly, like I've been in Querétaro for uh, over a year and some change, and I am still very much in the frustration stage. And I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to really last this long, right? I didn't think that I would be dealing with the frustration stage for so long. I thought I would have been moving into adjustment and acceptance, which, by the way, I learned today actually that these stages, you can move through different um, stages of culture shock at different moments. You don't, it's not always just this linear thing. And then eventually you get to acceptance and everything's wonderful. You can move from a frustration to adjustment, back to frustration, back to honeymoon. Like it can change depending on your circumstances and depending on your experiences. Um, and so I think for me, the way that I'm dealing with it, and I want to share these ways with you because it's helping me move through it. First is just knowing that it's totally normal. Experiencing all of the emotions of leaving your home behind, especially by yourself, and coming into a new space, it's totally normal to feel this. It's normal to hop between stages. I remind myself that any negative feelings that I have is not permanent. None of these feelings are permanent, right? So that helps me to kind of recalibrate and get some perspective on what I'm feeling. Next, I look after my physical needs, my physical and emotional needs. Have I been sleeping well? Am I eating well? Am I using the bathroom regularly? Y'all, I know it might be a little bit TMI, but listen, if you are not using the bathroom regularly, that can affect your whole system. The body is a system, everything's connected, right? So if you're not taking care of these very physical needs, then that can affect your emotional state as well, which can affect how you handle difficulty in your new home. So self-care in all ways is critical. Staying in touch with friends and family from back home is another thing that I have had to work on. To be honest, I'm not the best at calling my friends and family regularly, but being away from them, it forces me to. And, keeping that connection is such a grounding force, right? Now, one caveat: if you have left the United States or if you've left your home and decided to move to another place, and your family, they're your main ops, and they're the ones who are like, nah, we didn't, um, I would encourage you to be careful leaning on those people when you're going through a difficult time. Lean on the folks that you know have your back. Lean on those friends. Lean on those people that are like, you're moving to Belize? That's amazing. You're moving to Paris? Oh my God. I want to hear all about it. The people that were excited for you when you left, those are the people that you want to continue to connect with, even as you're moving through these stages of culture shock. And finally, give your new home a chance. Really, really give your new space a chance, especially if you feel like the frustration phase has been going on a lot longer than you would have wanted. Give your new home a chance, right? Um, get on Facebook groups for your city, uh, Instagram. People that you connect with online. See if you can actually get in touch with those folks. Like, go meet them for coffee, go for an event. And this is, I'm actually preaching to myself because I'm such a homebody. I'm such a homebody. And so sometimes it's a Herculean effort for me to want to go out and be around people. But I'm telling you, like pushing yourself to go out, even if it's as small as going to a local coffee shop and sitting down and journaling and just writing about how you feel. Write about your frustrations. Talk that shit out with your friends. Talk it out with, a therapist. If things are getting really, really bad, if you're going through a difficult time, don't be afraid to um, look for professional help. Want to put that in there too. But yeah, give your new home a chance. And as you do that, you'll see your new city really start to open up for you. I hope this was helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe. And, if there are particular stages of culture shock that you're interested in hearing more about, um, let me know in the comments. Have you gone through this before? What did you do? What were some concrete things that you did that helped you move through the stages of culture shock to a place of really loving and enjoying your new city?